Okay, so all good, Steve.
Great. Hello. Is that working? Yeah, good. Excellent. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Prune Town Council Planning Committee meeting. My name's Steve Tanner. I'll be chairing this evening. We want to make our meetings available to as many people as possible, regardless of where they are. So we are using a hybrid setup of here in person at the Town Hall and online via Zoom. For those in the room, usual housekeeping, emergency exit is to the rear corner of the room on the right, and the assembly points in the car park. Toilets can be accessed at the end of the corridor on the right hand side, and there is an accessible toilet to the right of the lift. For any panelists on Zoom, please use the electronic raise hand by clicking on the participants button at the bottom of your screen. Those in the room, as ever, please raise your hand. Attendees on Zoom, please post questions through the Q&A board. Attendees' names will become visible on the questions board for the record as your question is answered. For those attendees in the room, again, please raise your hand. Tonight, Jane will clerk, Hannah will manage the questions board and participant settings. And for information, the meeting will be recorded for minuting purposes, and we also live stream to our YouTube channel. So item agenda number 1, any questions, comments, information from the public? No. And councillors? No. Excellent. Agenda item number 2, to agree apologies for absence received. We haven't got any, have we?
No, so we don't need to do that one.
No. Okay, we'll make sure people that don't turn up send apologies in future. Agenda item number 3, any declaration of members' interests? Mark?
Yeah, items 56 and 55, the applicants are personal friends and business associate.
Great, thank you both. On this little. Oh, thank you. Item number 4 on the agenda to agree the minutes of the meeting held on the 21st of July 2022. If I could get someone to propose that, please. Thank you, Bill. And seconded by Andy. All those in favour?
That's unanimous. Thank you.
And I will sign it and give it to Hannah now.
Thank you.
Bug me now. Item number 5, to consider the major applications received, and as ever, pass it over to Jane.
Thank you very much. So we're going to start with application number 49 on our list, which is 51 Christchurch Street East. The description is for the alteration of the existing basement into annex accommodation and erection of a rear flat roof dormer to replace existing loft. So the reason that I've highlighted this one for discussion was just some concerns about the dormer at the rear. So this is the outline of the property and the garden in the red line. This is the front elevation, which won't actually change. This door here will be the door that leads into the basement where the annex is going to be created. This is the view of the rear of the property, which already has a dormer. What they want to do is to actually extend that dormer the full, well, up as far as the chimney, so same size again. And you can see the plans here. So this will be the new dormer that's proposed, and this just shows you the cross sections through really, so that you can see that that's the area where the annex will be. And concern about the dormer was also raised by the Civic Society. They also suggested that there should be a condition imposed that the annex in the basement won't be sold or rented as a separate dwelling. And their words are, the rear flat roof dormer is regrettable. I think another reason just for raising a concern about it was the position of the dormer will be here, and given that it will be extended further, there's even more potential for overlooking of these rear gardens, but that's very difficult to assess when just looking at it in plan form. So I guess it's really just to see how you feel about the dormer itself, and if you've got any concerns about potential overlooking.
Great, thank you. Any comments, anybody? Yeah, Phil? Yeah.
The proposed dormer, will that be going to 2 windows, and will they be viewing sort of down the garden? There won't be
Yeah.
anything on the side of the dormer.
So yeah, no, so there's nothing on the end elevations of the dormer, which are shown here. And so the extra window will be this one here. At the moment, you can see there's 2 windows there, but there will still be 2 windows, but they'll be set further apart. And I would say, yes, they'll be able to look obviously straight down their own garden. What you can't really tell without being on site is what view they would have potentially over other people's gardens and whether that would impact them.
There's been no objections, is there, on the portal?
Just that double
Yeah,
Yeah.
made as one piece.
yeah. But with one bigger window in per section. Yeah.
Just on the civic society's comments, is it possible they could sell the annex off? I mean, they would have to apply for a separate planning permission, would they, to sell that off?
They wouldn't need a separate planning permission because of essentially when you create an annex, you create a unit
Right.
of accommodation. I mean, it
Even
might,
though it's sort of underneath the house.
even though it's sort of underneath it. I
Right.
mean, it might be a complicated legal process,
Yeah.
but the fact that it's got planning permission to be an annex, it could be rented to somebody. Yeah,
Yeah.
flying freeholds and all that kind of stuff.
Mm. Okay, thanks. Any other? I mean, if there's been no objections and the original dormer is already there, I mean, whether we like it aesthetically or not is a little bit immaterial, isn't it?
Yeah.
Quite frankly, I mean, to me, it's yeah. I would ask the planning officer to check the overlooking situation.
Yeah.
That'd be my only comment, quite frankly. And I sort of agree with the Civic Society's comments about the if there can be a condition on the annex that without it sort of, although I don't know.
It's normally a standard condition that would be
That's fine.
applied to an
Okay.
annex, but there's no harm in reiterating it. Yeah.
Okay. So is any other?
When would we object to it being a separate residence?
I don't think we are. I think what we were just saying is there's no point in reiterating. Oh, what you mean? Why wouldn't we want it sold or let
Why would they be
separately?
separated off if we're dealing with a housing crisis? If we can,
Yeah,
not necessarily in this case, but if we make a blanket ban on that sort of thing, and we're preventing people from providing other accommodation.
Yeah, as I said, it's normally a standard condition that's applied. And that's been the case for as long as I can remember. So before, yeah, a long time, thank you. Before we were in this situation with the housing crisis. So maybe it isn't relevant anymore, but in this particular case, they've said in their statement that they want it for a growing family. Yeah, into general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay, so we've got no objection, but we would ask the case officer just to have a look at the possibility of overlooking when they do their site visit.
That would work for me. Anyone else? I'll propose that. Seconded, please. Mark.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, and that's unanimous. So the next one highlighted for discussion is number 50 on our list, and that is 2 Wallbridge Avenue, and it's for the erection of a 2-story extension to the side elevation. Oh, sorry. So this, sorry, bear with me. I've got a little inset picture of the computer screen, and whenever I want to look at a plan, it's always in the wrong place. So I need to try and move it. That's the problem. Okay, so this is a site location. The red line indicates the property boundary, and the red line here indicates the footprint of the proposed extension.
And that's a track, isn't it, running along?
This is a track running along here. Yeah, yeah. So these are the existing and the proposed elevations. The reason that I highlighted this one for discussion was potential concern about this window here. And because that effectively would be here, if you can see my cursor moving. So there would, at the moment, there's no window on that elevation, and also it would be a lot closer to the path, and potentially overlooking of these properties here. That said,
That's their gardens, isn't it?
that's their gardens, yeah. But that said, it's this window here, and I think it's a landing window, so you probably could look out of it, but might be a bit dangerous. And I think, did the Civic Society say about this one? They are saying I'm just checking all the numbering seems to have
Yeah,
gone
do you
out.
want to read what they've said?
Yeah, is yours right?
Objects unless the following conditions imposed. A, the development is conditioned to be used only by the occupants of 2 Walbridge Avenue and not sold or rented short of long term as a separate dwelling. And B, the garage is not converted into a habitable accommodation. Got me going with that word now. Reason to preserve the amenity of number 2 and to ensure that off-street parking availability is maintained. Our general comment is that this is an unnecessary large and clumsy extension shoehorned into the available space, and it will overbear the public footpath alongside.
So that is the public footpath that they're talking about. So it will be 2-story in height.
Yeah, I didn't have any real issues with this, and I didn't pick up on that window, I must admit, on the basis that it was a footpath and it was the very back of the other gardens from, I'm guessing that is from Walbridge, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
It is a big extension, but it's a reasonably large plot, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, you could. I suppose it's not that large, but it is, like you say, filling in that section there. It was really only the window that I was concerned about, but because I thought it was an issue, I thought I should explain that, maybe it isn't because it's a landing window.
Anyone else got any?
Yeah, I mean, looking at the drawings, I understand that it's a window going on to a landing.
Yeah.
So therefore it's the only form of lighting, natural light that would fall in that area.
Mm.
So could that then not be obscure glass?
It could be obscure glass. If I'm looking at it correctly, though, this
Is that a void?
it's a void, yeah. So
it could be from floor level, it could be as much as.
Yeah, I don't think you would actually be
3
able
meters
to look
high.
out of it.
Mm.
But yes, it could be obscure glass. So we could say that if there is any perceived overlooking issues from that window, then it should be obscured glass.
Mark, any thoughts? No? Happy with it? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Think we should ask about the obscure glass? Or are you not bothered at all?
Well, as you say, it's, as Phil's pointed out, it's onto a void. Will people be standing there looking out the window? I don't know. What's the thing next up from it? That's in that corner.
Here,
I can't read what that says.
bathroom,
So is there any light to that? Or is
there's a window there, and that would be obscure
that
glass.
their own garden?
Yeah.
That'd be obscure glass as
Yeah.
well.
No problems. No problems.
So we just no objecting then?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Someone propose that, please. Thank you, Andy. Thank you for it.
That's unanimous. Thank you. Okay, next on the list, number 52.
Yes.
And this is the site at Keyford for the erection of one detached dwelling house. The reason I've raised this one is a couple of reasons. Firstly, we've seen applications on this site quite a few times in the past, or 4 times in the past, actually. At one point, there was an application for 8 flats, and then another application for 4 flats. And there is currently an approval for 2 houses in the red line area. And now this application has come forward for 1 dwelling. And really, I just thought, I'd like you to see it because it's much, personally, I think it's much better than the previous application for 2 dwellings. It's
where the chap did some very clever angles about where things would be when objected.
yeah,
Very clever drawings about angles and.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so obviously with the application that's been approved for 2 dwellings takes up much more room on the site, but just thought it'd be interesting to show you that.
So this application is super.
So they have announced that
Super.
because I've forgotten to delete the title on the previous. No, I hadn't noticed. Yeah, yeah.
Why? So this application supersedes the previous one, so this isn't 1 plus the other 2, it's just people 1 for the whole plot.
So this is 1 for the whole plot. Yes, so I didn't put the layout plan on there, but it'd just be 1. So if this is approved, there'll be 2 consents, and either could be implemented. So it doesn't mean if this one gets permission, the other one is not valid.
So you can build another 2 houses and still leave this area undeveloped.
No, it's the same plot. You can have,
So you say,
so there'll be 2 planning permissions live on the same plot.
yeah, so 1 planning permission is for 2.
Yeah.
houses.
Yeah.
They could be built, but that wouldn't take up the whole plot.
No, it would take up the whole.
It would.
Yeah, it would take up the whole plot, but it would be much more cramped.
Go back to your red and blue. Okay.
So the area we're talking about is in the red line. This blue line indicates that land is within the applicant's ownership as well. But they're not applying for anything in that area. No, I don't think the bookies, because the bookies is that bit, isn't it? Yeah. So behind the bookies and the 2 properties next to it.
Okay.
So it was really just to inform you about that application, really. So you're aware.
It is the design access statement, whatever is very good, isn't it? It's solar panels, air source heat pump, the building fabric is what we would like to see. And it's a pretty good design, I thought. I quite liked it. In fact, I liked it a lot.
So that's a no objection then, isn't it?
Well, it's from me, but everyone else.
There is, that's all set out on the block plan, but I didn't put that on there. It's just really to show you.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't around, I don't think, when the original application for 2 units was made. It does just seem a little disappointing, to be building 1 mega executive home in a space that could house 2 families. But I don't think that's a reason for planning refusal.
So yeah, that was the reason I highlighted that one. And Happy with no objection all
No
round?
objection, yeah, yeah. So someone propose that, please? Mark, it's in the button, it.
And that's unanimous, thank you.
Great.
Okay, so next on the list is number 54. And this is numbers 43 to 50, 55 to 64 Trinity Street, and flats 1 to 11 Trinity Street. And this is to replace the existing windows with a double glazed timber to match the existing. I really just highlighted this one for discussion. I know we've discussed properties in this area before that are in desperate need of having replacement windows. It is a conservation area. It isn't listed, but it is a prominent building, designated heritage asset, as pointed out by the Civic Society. And their comments are that any replacement windows need to be carefully detailed. So the plans do clearly show the detailing of all the windows. I've just put an example of one there so you can see how they're constructed, that, you know, how they will open, that they are timber framed. And the conservation officer will, you know, have a look to see whether or not they think they're suitable. But I think certainly much better than the windows they currently have. And there's a letter from one of the occupants of one of the units who clearly desperately wants new windows.
Any comments? And Andy?
Yeah, I think this is a case where rather than just saying no objection, we should actively support this.
I agree. I remember last year when I was supporting a family who were in a similar position when they had gales blowing through their windows, and they had all sorts of objections from various people saying that they couldn't have what they wanted there. And I think the point I made there, those of us who choose to live in a listed building or choose to live in a conservation area, then that's what we put up with. If you're put there by social housing, then you deserve warm and safe accommodation. And so if this is the way to do it, and I'm glad they're not just going to go and try and do UPVC, which is what they've tried to do throughout the rest of their estate. Be interested to see how this works, because maybe to use it in my house, which is very drafty.
Yeah, I think sort of yes, and can you get it done before the winter, really, isn't it?
So I was going to suggest that we say we fully support the application, and we welcome the fact that they're looking to use timber framed windows.
Sounds great.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Someone propose no objection, I guess. Thank you, Mark. Philip.
And that's unanimous. Thank you. Okay, so the last one that I've highlighted for discussion is number 60 on the list, and that's 11 Lewis Crescent Room. And you'll see the description is for a loft conversion with a rear flat roof dormer and a single-story rear extension. So the property boundary is here in red, and this is a photograph from the application documents showing the rear of the property, and the dormer window is proposed here. And here you can see the actual elevation. So the top ones are the existing elevation. So this is the front, this is the rear. So on the front, they are proposing to put in some Velux roof lights. I'm presuming they're not part of the description because technically they don't need planning permission on their own. So it's really the dormer to the rear. So again, we have a full width dormer. These are the side elevations, so you can see that there aren't any windows in there. Again, it's a very big dormer.
It is, isn't it? Really.
Yeah. I wasn't sure when I looked at it originally. I thought, you know, there are windows obviously on the first floor already, so there must be an element of overlooking. But I think the Civic Society have commented that the dormer is excessively large and will overlook several gardens. So that, you know, actually in hindsight, I think that is a fair point. If I go back to the site plan, so the dormer will be on the rear, just of here.
No other houses on that terrace have got anything like this.
No,
It is big, isn't it?
Yeah. Just a thought, Steve. And they're saying there's no policy that says we can refuse it on planning grounds. I'd have thought there'd be a sort of fire safety requirement about, how you get down from these places.
so that wouldn't be covered by the planning application necessarily. That would come under building regulations once they start to build. And yes, that there should be some secondary exit. I mean, it's not that there aren't any reasons to refuse it. I mean, you could argue that the design is out of keeping with the surrounding area, that it's over dominant, that it's got overlooking. It's just whether or not you feel strongly enough to want to suggest any of those reasons for refusal. Or, I mean, there weren't any objections from any of the neighbours.
Didn't see it.
No.
Neighbours are probably thinking if they get away with it, I'll do
Well,
the same. So, and
Objected to one in Clumber Drive, didn't we? We did an extension in the roof that was. We recently objected to one in Clumber Drive, which was very high, wasn't it? What was,
I think that the difference with that one was Clumber Drive is actually very high in the skyline anyway, and there would have been far-reaching views of that. It would have. I don't think you'll have the same problem with this one. It's more about how it impacts directly on the neighbours rather than the longer view. I mean, I know previously we've said, well, the family need more room to accommodate them. Is it really for us to object to it? But
Go back to the block. Is that number 11?
so it's number 11. So it'll be on the roof here.
what's the road behind? Try to get my bearings here.
Lewis Crescent wraps around there.
What's that road there?
This one.
I know where that is, but one.
Goes on to Park Hill Drive. doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's just on to Park Hill Drive at the
yeah,
bottom.
up by the Welsh Mill Hub.
No, I know
Yeah.
where Lewis Crescent. is.
Okay.
Work out what that.
What, at the top there? Here,
No, so you're right. What's that word there?
substation.
There's
Substation.
electricity substation. I mean, again, maybe we say the same as we did previously, that we would ask the case officer to look at any overlooking implications on site.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a big.
And I
dollar.
always go back to ex-councillor John Nelson, who is very much in the sort of it's their house, they can do what they want with it sort of attitude. And design is subjective at the end of the day, isn't it? It is the overlooking. That would be my only sort of comment, is I think we should at least get the overlooking checked, because it is going to be quite high in it, and they're going to be able to look a long way across numerous gardens, aren't they?
Yeah.
Do we need a policy on roofline excrescences?
I think we do. Need to find out what the word means first. Sorry.
That's okay. I was trying to look through the paperwork earlier on, and I can't see what the reason is. What reason has been given to want to put the dormer on? I can understand the extension.
I think it's to create an extra bedroom in the loft area. Let me just go back to the actual application and I'll have a look for you, just to double check.
Jane, you can make that smaller. If you hover over those pictures
What page?
and then click that little line there, it makes it really small. You can drag it around. Not the way.
Every day is a school day.
It's good to have that.
And also, while we're looking for
I was
that,
testing it out when Jane mentioned it.
We'll be doing that, Hannah.
it will be quite prominent
It will be.
And also looking at the map here, it's going to, they're going to be able to overlook a large area covering a lot of properties and a lot of gardens.
So I just need to find the right plan. Oh, find a picture of the loft.
Yeah, very nice.
There we go. Can move the little thing out of the way so I can. There you
It's
go.
still in the way.
It was dead in the way, yeah. So it doesn't actually specifically say bedroom on the floor plan, but it does have what looks like a shower room in the corner. Can I share that with you? Just bear with me. There. So that's the shower room. I mean, all the others are, specifically say bed 1, bed 2, bed 3.
Those,
These,
Yeah.
there's the roof lights on the front. Yeah. So that is the roof, the ridge line, and then that's the dormer element.
I think, Steve, you're right, we'll find the Nelson principle.
the Nelson principle. Yeah. But I think we should check the overlooking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be my, yeah, that would be my
Okay.
take on it. You know, anyone else? Mark, any
No, I agree.
the Nelson principles there? Must tell John.
Okay, so we're happy with no objection in principle. However, we are concerned about the potential overlooking and would ask the case officer to assess this when on site.
That's good. Happy with that? Yeah. Come on, close that. Thank you. Brilliant.
And that's unanimous. Thank you. Are there any others that anybody would specifically like to raise for discussion?
Just a quick comment, if I can, on what's the numbering? Is it 53, the one from Hawkers?
Yes.
Yes.
Again, I'd prefer us to support that rather than just have no objection. I think,
Okay.
local business trying to create more work for local people is something we're all in favour of.
Okay, so just for those who might be watching the live stream, it's Hawkers Limited at Whitworth Road in Frome, which is on the trading estate, and it's for the erection of a side extension. They're a joinery manufacturing firm who've just moved into the area, but they need the extension to keep the timber in the dry storage area. And yeah, you're absolutely right. It's the kind of business that we would want to support. So yeah, are we gonna
We have to vote on that.
Yeah.
No, vote that we want changes. Thanks, Andrew.
that's unanimous? Thank you. Any others?
Great. Anything else? Lots of trees for the PPO to or the tree officer boat to have a look at.
And one of the trees, I went and had a look at Seth Lakeman's tree. In the documents, there's already permission,
Which number is that? Sorry.
no, the 2 West End.
45. So
44.
reducing the bay tree, felling the horse chestnut and pollarding a goat willow.
In the documents, there's a letter from Julie Reader Sullivan saying permission to do all this work. Why is it come before us?
I don't recall seeing that. Just bear with me. That is because since the agenda was put out, a decision has been issued.
Together what?
So our agenda was published last Thursday, so a week
Yeah.
ago, and a decision was issued by Mendip on this application today.
So they're not going to pay any attention to what we say anyway.
So we've missed. So we've missed.
very much.
We've missed the boat.
Yeah, that's how I read it. And I
Yeah.
thought, why have we got it?
Mm.
And
That was posted today, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't remember seeing it.
Yeah.
I just wondered if maybe are any of these other in a similar position.
So so this is a conservation area tree application, which is slightly different from a tree preservation order application. The conservation area application is a notification to Mendip District Council that somebody intends to cut down trees in a conservation area. So they have, Mendip have 6 weeks within which to say, you cannot do those works because we believe that those trees are worthy of a tree preservation order. If they don't get a decision out within the 6 weeks, deemed consent is given for the works anyway. So the reason this has probably happened is because this one is on a shorter 6 weeks notice, whereas a tree preservation order application is a standard planning application and you get 8 weeks. So yeah, you're right, it doesn't matter what we say, but I thought I'd just explain why there's a difference. Yeah. Yeah.
Very much.
So in that case, apart from that one, obviously, which we don't need to comment on now, are you happy for the rest of the comments where I just said that there were no issues or to ask for some further information are
Yep,
okay to send?
happy with that. I'll propose that. Mark, second.
And that's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's the end of the meeting. Thanks for attending. And the next meeting is on the 1st of September, isn't it?